today's talk will be titled Building Conscious Networks. And what that means is that the human being finds himself, after getting a certain amount of self-realization and existential comfort with just what he is as a being, he begins to see that his energy and his attention and his focus can contribute in establishing more efficient ways for mankind to be alive. Right now, the human experience needs to be clarified. It needs to be cleansed. We need to polish the mirror. Because self-reflection is being elusively considered. It's as if in this temporal reality we are living like the reflection in the mirror and we're not aware of who's really standing here. As you become presence and personality really show you the distinction that you were never different. So building conscious networks means that after some point you begin to see that the person who's going into within himself to find Mr. Within, after some point he becomes an advanced communicator because he's observing all communication in more advanced ways. He's more observant. He's looking at it deeper. Now as he does, he needs to see that he is the silence in the noise and that his trust is not in temporal reality but in the eternal observance of it. So you are never afraid and you become a fearless co-creator and a being who will be able to co-create because you will allow co-creation. You will no longer think that guy's judging you. You will see he's just speaking as he is. And so then the conscious networks simply transition into ones who are how would I say it? You will see that consciousness never needed to try to do something. So there is an aspect of your existential expression right now that is always there. Regardless of whether you want to choose a destination or not, you are present there. And once you become aware of it, you begin to see that the nature of thought was the illusion. Because when you look at the thinker, you cannot find it but to see yourself. You are revealed into the aspect which you're considering self, which is considering your world of other. So without it, you cannot be in any other manner. You need to understand that this world requires an integrative view, and regardless of your superiority and considerations of who is inferior, you need to allow these spectrums to integrate, or you will see that that is what the natural flow of life wants. So the person who is greedy in his own mind is just not listening to life. He's playing with his illusion. He is not sensitive to existential reality, because when you become calm and you are not ignorant to say, oh, I know everything, so I'm going to say what my purpose is. Your purpose becomes your expression in any moment and every moment. Right now, you're purposeful in existence. You exist as existence does. And so there's a collectivity there that is untouchable, but it is now. So we are all a family of now. It's the experience of now. This is the most immediate being, right? That in this world we should not have judgment, but judgment should be turned around and be used in our creativity. We judge the illusion rather than feeling that we're in an illusion and we're judging something else, judging truth. The judgment process needs to be turned around, and that is celestial engineering, because we need to see our reality in greater ways. Profundity is not elusive in that manner. You are taken to abstracts of your mind. You look at the world and you see that there's a silence there that no one can speak about, but it's there. Many of us throughout our lives are not aware of the exact existential sensitivity of reality. Because if we were, we have to let go of some stories. It's like some people, the reason they're so logical, rational, in quotations, intellectual, is because they are not willing to break their systems of thought. They are not really willing to everyday live as a mystic, as a being who's aware of his unknown aspects, not so ignorantly saying, I know everything, so this is this. Mankind is very funny. He is saying, I don't know, there's so much to explore. At the same time, he's saying, no, I know this is the human experience. It's objective. It's nothing else. We're all physical bodies, and this physicality is it, so you better choose, well, what you're doing, human imagination. Well, it's not like that. Those are realities that were sustained and which were responses to realities previous to them. Our problems were the answers to problems before. Do you recognize this? But we do not need those answers now, because man, the whole human collective, the whole human consciousness should just be aware of the present moment, and in there is sustain and ability to find self, more than just what others says. Because right now you need to pay attention, and you need to see there isn't much being said on human communication, but on more what is objectified and interpreted from human communication. So ideas are stuff we can talk about, but the way he said it or how he said it, really we can't, because it's his unique way of saying it. Do you know? So some aspect we really can't judge, because we really can't compare, because there's an abstraction that is just so weird. It's as if it's beyond linearity. It's transcendentally, it's an enlightened weirdness, you know? So we need to be aware that we need to recognize we need to choose a harmonious world, because nobody's giving us that option, it seems. Even the world around us physically is saying, oh man, I don't know how this is going to go. You know, this is the mind of man today, it seems, for some. And some people don't even care. Some people are like, this is rock, I'm a body too. These bodies are just going to walk. You know, like that's it. You know, some people have that kind of framework. But you need to see that what really works for you is the ability for you to know thyself in a manner where there is never a temporal origination of the mechanism. Because man is at a point where he can either go into the silence of chaotic existential confrontation, or he just comes into the order of illusion, right? And so these two are different aspects of reality, but then the choice becomes the awareness to the choice. Do you know how well human beings can live if they just become aware of nature? If you just go for a week in nature, you come back, you will be so much more able to handle stuff, because you have cultivated silence of being. It's like you wake up in the morning, and that silence before anyone's woken up, and you hear it, and then you function, and it's like all the noise is like a symphony being played from the beginning of the morning till you sleep. We must realize that this world has many unknown aspects, and that's why it's exciting to be here. Because we are here within a system that is suggesting, that is given, they are giving us the greatest problem on earth. All those beings who are manifesting in human form are here to solve the greatest problem of the cosmos. Why are we here? Why is the human being here? That's the greatest problem. Nobody knows. Do you know? Nobody even knows why the human is here. You know? Some beings even come here to see, okay, let's see what the human is. But nobody knows. And so this is the greatest question of the cosmos, what humanity is and what human consciousness can be. And in a sense, without interpretation, has always been. What you choose to do in life is one that requires the ambitions of a blind man being fully received. And when we begin to see the life in our hands, are we taking care of how the human idea is flowing? Do you care about the concept of a self, or are you trying to constantly do something where the idea of you is not clear, so you feel better about not taking that, confronting and taking that next step? This is an aspect that comes into the human experience. It's that point where you're just sitting down and wondering, where is all this heading, and you see you don't know. And so you either have a choice to say, okay, I'm comfortable with not knowing, but I'm an explorer, or you just say, oh, I don't know, and you get depressed, you know? You turn into a ball and you feel as if people are kicking you. So one needs to see that consciousness is really the awareness of self. A self that is within others. You will see conscious networks will become how you're communicating with other human beings. And the way you communicate suggests the realities that are being created. What that means is if that person randomly in the middle of my talk came and asked me to take like 5-6 photographs of him in front of like where he was, and kind of very nervously the guy is laughing as if, oh, please take one more. You will see that you have a choice to make that into something that is bothering you, or to just accept the phenomena of life and how you are a part of it. And so my anger quickly turned into a smile, which I realized consciousness doesn't care. And of course, guys, these are unseen topics. These are unspeakable aspects of the experience of the individual, of its collective beings. Information is the gift of man to be in shape. And as he looks and wonders about what is in form, he notices life cannot be anything else other than the absolute remembrance. And that's why you see in many mystery schools there is the concept of remembrance. In anything, remembrance is actually natural. It's just saying pay attention. I hope that you see that it's really up to you. You need to be responsible for your communication. And when you really authentically not just live for yourself but for others, you stop caring. Because when I started to help other people, I no longer were judging them. I was just listening to them and, in a sense, in a very efficient manner, contributing to the world I know. And that's what we need. We need each individual in an efficient manner to contribute to the greatness of the world, the greatness of it. Not it's this elusive destruction. There's no such thing as destruction. There's observance of change. And that change is given many ways to choose how it changes. What that means is my choice to say these words is a choice within the cosmos, just as a star about to explode is a choice as well. It's an existential choice. It is that which is relevant to manifestation, but at the same time, all manifestation is the projection of how this reality is holographic, in that the emptiness, in a very fractal manner, is kept through its interpretation of a distinction. So there had to be a difference. There had to be night and day. There had to be good and bad, and suddenly man had character. So the character obviously is built in positions where there are spectrums that give him an ability to express it. And of course, what I'm talking about, don't take it as the general interpretation of communication. Take it as an advanced view of communication. I constantly want my listeners to think in advanced ways, because we're not wasting our time here. We are here to increase our ability, and then as our ability is increased, then we find the possibilities of great deeds. Right now, great deeds are not even in view. We have to go create them. We have to, all those people who may feel are not doing what they're doing, you as a person, that's the extra work you need to do. Just contribute as much as you can, you know? So what that means is, if you're that guy at after a party that you're just cleaning, the yard, you just, and you realize it's not your yard, but you just help out, let's say. Do you see? Because we want to make things happen. And when you want to make things happen, you don't care about how much you're judging that person or this person. You're looking at how existence is understanding itself, and how, just as we go and enjoy art in a museum, the separation and uniqueness of how one human being is different from another human being is huge. Mankind is missing an existential sensitivity in which, when he does, his blind spots will go and his state of being will accelerate. He will have the potential to be many things. Because many things will be in his presence. Because as presence, we're not keeping the frameworks that create limiting factors. You build conscious networks, pretty much. By very mindfully and very calmly taking yourself to your most greatest state of being. So let's say if today was the last day of your life, what would be the peak joy and happiness you would walk in? You would bask in, There have been some people who they have consciously passed away. We now need to see that you have one sense of awareness to cause, and this is of course another addition I need to make right now. You have one sense, a sense of cause and effect understanding of the world, and so Newton was a genius there. But at the same time, there is a no cause and effect view of the world, which the genius were, in my view, of course, there's been many, but the writers, for example, of the Upanishads, that was very amazing for me, just seeing that work. Or even the writer of, or Lao Tzu, let's say, his book, the Tao, in the sense that both of them are suggesting, for example, the Upanishads, that it was never written for man and it was not here to be received by man. It was one that was giving a collective awareness to the individual. A collective awareness that has kept the individual. By trusting life, and as you trust life, you get a greater ability to work with it and to work with yourself. Wise men have said it's very important to be aware. Be aware of an aspect of your experience that does not need to be dulled down into a facility that you cannot understand. Why would man be stuck where he is? Because his conception is taking him to that potential. What can man do but hide his fate? Because he does not want to confront it, because fear was that moment where they told you, you have to be something, and you're like, shit, if I have to be this thing, gosh, I gotta every time try to be something else. This confrontation is huge. Man is a pillar of existence. This pillar is shaped like I, and the word I is very significant in human communication as it's been keeping it there. So once this last pillar of ignorance falls, you begin to see that in a selfless manner, your exploration of consciousness is one where there is no hindrance. It's happening instantaneously. And you will begin to see the wisdom found. Because in the Tao it is said, the Tao that can be spoken about is not the real Tao. It's immediately giving you that existential sensitivity. Be aware of your duality. And the networks will build themselves because you are conscious. So simply take yourself to a very conscious state of being and don't worry about the outcome. Your ability, just make your ability in the present moment efficient, and you will be able to handle everything in your life. Be able to be comfortable and handle your whole moment, and realize that inner peace was that moment where you took that existential responsibility, not just as an idea, but more than an idea, and became a peaceful gaze for humankind. Insanity is not obstruction. Insanity is at times allowance. Insanity within the limitations is the insanity we need to worry about. Because there's an insanity that is leading us to the limitless understanding of man, which incorporates chaotic aspects of the system, and there is an insanity which is in our limitations. So it's as if when you tell everybody and everybody's acknowledged it, when you are aware and you're not mindful, lack of mindfulness then could be more problematic for human society. So that could be something that needs to still be maintained, that the system needs to be aware of. And of course these are being said in a way where the most significant aspect and priority is the human experience and consciousness. We are not here to trap or make traps. Live a peaceful life and recognize that there's been this quote where they say, I'm not sure who said it, but a life not lived for others is no life at all, something like that. So live for others and don't think that you're living for their ideas. You're just being so aware to your present moment that anything that comes to your moment, you're peacefully and gracefully acknowledging it. You're not hurried because you realize you can take your watch off and you could just be for a little bit. You don't have to always be in a process of do. You can just be. Because that is also why you were made, to be present as existence. So let us say that you thinking that, oh, I got a purpose, I got to go, free the cages of the doves, you can choose to see a purpose like that, but before that you need to see your purpose is an existential one that is your existence needs to be properly maintained. So if you're unhealthy, by making yourself healthy, that's a great contribution to a life form in this plane of existence. And your awareness to your plane of existence is even a greater contribution. So if you take the mystics route, you're realizing that there's nothing to fear because you are confronting fear. You're confronting all forms that have been calling you a certain shape. And so when man observes the shape, I believe he's unshaped. He gets an unshaped understanding. Because how do you know this world is full of color if you didn't know there was no color? How could there be a day if there was no night? How could there be a night if there was no day? And perhaps the way we're thinking about it was our mistake. Perhaps Eden's mistake could be interpreted as man's mistake to accept the punishment, to continue with the Eden story. It's as if right that moment where man saw the Eden story, the apple story, at that moment the mistake was he was buying that apple, he was taking that apple, he was taking that experience, that screen of vision, that screen of imagery, you seeing that story and making it a reality for yourself to having good and bad and punishments is you similarly making another mistake of taking an apple, accepting an illusion that is self-created. And of course, I am saying these very gracefully, and I do not want to be disrespectful in any way. These are simply ideas, and I acknowledge them as such. Because ideas are here to show man what he is more than what he thinks he is. Once man looks at what he knows and properly acknowledges it, he will realize that a sign of that proper acknowledgement is that he will understand that he doesn't know anything. And when he basks in that flame of not knowing, and he still remains there, contemplative, mindful, and meditative to observing reality, he begins to be transcendent for the initiative of his intention as a being. That existential longing to go see where even spirituality is leading. You're not even satisfied by the word spirituality. You're going deeper into the experience of life. And then your natural communication and how you are throughout the day will lead to conscious networks being built, in the sense that you thought you were only communicating to people with words. No, you're communicating with people with your state of being. So if you become aware of your state of being and you just enhance yourself to more of a mindful version of the world, more existentially compassionate one, you will begin to see in an instant people will gravitate to your state of consciousness, not your act, not your shape and illusion. And your state of consciousness is one that needs to come from your deep self-contemplation and, as Mr. Within recommends, go in nature. Go in life, go sit beside a tree, be still, silent, and try to see that what you are is more than you thought. Because once the Zen master's cup was empty, it could always be full. Building conscious networks is how your life works. Much blessings. And guys, realize, of course, this ideology is here to suggest a template of reality. So I'm here not saying everything is like this. I am just suggesting this is how manifestation is perceived by me, by Mr. Within. Because I'm trying to take the human process of thinking outside of its egotistical ways, outside of its having to be an idea to figure it out, having to get a reward. Are we children still? Is the human species children? Is he trying to get a reward? Is he still trying to get a heaven? Is heaven someone giving us a chocolate dinner? Or is heaven our greatest experience of taking choice to the next level? Taking the dimensions of our experience to what is beyond our conception, beyond what we have seen. Self-exploration, self-discovery is the freedom for the being, not freedom for the person. You're not trying to find happiness for Bob. Bob is existentially happy because Bob knows that he is present. Regardless of his name, regardless of his face, life is here. And this life intelligence is no joke. Even though we all seem to be in a divine comedy. I hope that you recognize that more than the ambitions of a blind man were to look at an outside world, you will see once a blind man gets sight and looks at the outside world, he will begin to see after he has seen it. Then there is the question of the internal. And at some point in your life, let us hope it is not just on your deathbed, you need to observe and see, and you'll probably question, where is this life going? Where is this existential intelligence going? And by bringing that depth of significance to your measures of reality, you begin getting considerations of what could be beyond the measure. So when I looked at society, I could not be ignorant to say, oh, this is society, so it has to be like this, you know? I observed and I saw society in some manners working this way, in some manners working this way. So first you just work directly with what is there. And when you directly look at society, there is clouds of confusions that are being expressed as actions, which are individuals making decisions on a routine basis that is not helpful. So the efficiency of the act is important. It's as if businesses have found ways to sustain themselves and become empires of great, you know, business technology, let's say. But at the same time, the quality of the act is not high, and perhaps sometimes the people working for these companies get a feeling that it's not enough. It is the quality of my act is not mindful, it's not conscious enough. Do you know, me doing this job is not, and it doesn't mean you should quit your job. It just means you realizing that must now take a deeper consideration in seeing what is the significance of this cosmos. So it's important for a person to question himself, and there will come a time where you will see if you press harder, the ice will crack, and there's a chance you may fall. And some people just walk back, and they slowly walk back to their comfort zone, and there are those who go there and slam their foot on this ice. And as they break it, worlds open up, worlds of experience, and also cold temperature. God. Where is man heading? We need to see first where the head is. Begin building conscious networks through the trust of self, and trust that your intuition is just an aspect of your experience communicating to you in a more comfortable way because it seems to know. You need to trust some part of your experience to transcend it. Trust life, and then life transcends. If you don't trust life, you are maintaining an illusion and you're not clearly seeing what is there. And so mindfulness is required, and perhaps the fruits of meditation. And I will recommend, one, look at it this way. If you think about where meditation came from, it was really made popular and in a sense kind of originated from a man going in the woods and just sitting by a tree and with intensity confronting his existence as his self-awareness. And you see that that's how it originated. So what it is you do not need to go learn thousands of yogic, postures, even though that stuff is a certain tutelage which must be very properly learned, and your heart better be leading you to that kind of teachings. And there's simply a manner of just seeing the whole system fluctuate in an instant, but always being kept as if you are the edge of the picture, so you have nothing to worry about. Because you are defining the life of the frame. We may sometimes be caught in the reality of others. And what that means is, for a certain point in my life, I didn't know who I was, so I just had no feedback on who I was. I didn't know myself. At the same time, I was very clearly listening to others to see, okay, I don't know, let's see what if others. At that same time, I was receiving some negative feedback, And it was based on my origination. So the feedback, I take responsibility for it as me causing it, Because if you don't, you see you are pushing an idea away which you were relevant. And so you do not need to make something, relevant, irrelevant and saying, oh, it's not there, oh, I didn't see it. No, be comfortable with what you see. Be comfortable with the life that you've lived. And perhaps then, through such a clarity, we will move beyond the event world. However, your work will develop. You might at many times see yourself going into very active states of creativity, but not realizing how it's structured. You need to trust the flow. Because many people are involved in multidimensional aspects, so what that means is human consciousness has evolved. So no longer are we the same mystics as before, so the tutelage needs to be taught in a different way, but also new contributions need to be added because man has had abstract worlds. Let us say it like this: the Upanishads were perhaps, or many ancient books were perhaps the response to what was needed at that time for man's consciousness to evolve. And so it seems that they came out of nowhere, but they came very gracefully. So, to see this, we need to see that more than for us to be attached to ideology, our experience must not be limited to what we cannot see. In other words, you will know what to do when you look at yourself clearly, and in that clarity, your most intense ability and awareness to your experience of creation and co-creation will be your guidance. So don't think all your guidance is a letter that's going to guide you, and it's going to be a map. We're not here giving manuals to people on how to live. We're just telling them. We're giving mirrors. All writers of the book, they've been giving a hall of mirrors to aspects that they saw in the world and aspects that you saw in the world, which both belong to the individual. When man recognizes he is the intermediary, he never needed intermediaries. Your work has been done sometimes in an instant, but but the manifestation must come into place with your trust and the action that needs to be done. Because there have been moments in my life where I've been aware of things and things I could have done, things I could do, but I was not taking action. And later on, I received this bit of wisdom from this one of the leaders. But it was saying that action it was saying action is better to be done than no action sometimes in regards to handling your externality. When you're looking at the external, when you're looking at taking care of this body, you cannot be in thought too long either. You need to externalize and move this body unless you have a certain invitation, special invitation for yourself as a design of how your life's going to be. It's as if like some beings set for themselves paths of exploring their solitude. If you're not one of them, you're probably not here to get that kind of experience, but maybe you are, so it's an area of your own self-exploration. But begin to also see that handling externality is a certain reality, and handling your whole moment is one that is beyond this external reality. So external reality must be playfully handled. You must be aware of the active. You must care for the positions of life, and you must see that you must be so compassionate that you let that rock on the ground be a rock, because you are existentially present, that you do not need to change things with your hands. But then if you want to at the same time, you have the present ability, and you would work with that foundation of emptiness to then bring the most accurate and clear creations. And of course these are aspects of your state of being, increasing your ability by saying that you are always able. Because it's your state of being, it's your state of consciousness that is, let us say, amplified. And also observe the conscious networks you're in. Observe who is aware of you. Observe the life that you are. Observe the greater forms and symbols that are above you and the ones that you feel are giving you a shadow. So some things that we read and some information throughout this lifetime, throughout this life process that we receive, gives us certain frameworks of guilt, a victim mentality and whatnot. So you need to immediately be observant of this and see how that is manifest for you. So if you're calling yourself a victim, if life is being unfair to you, very directly, with complete detail, figure it out why. Just go see why. Just go see very deeply, and you might begin to see, oh gosh, it's leading back to my other experiences, Well, my friend, go sit down in nature, go sit down beside a stream, in silence and in stillness and complete awareness and compassion. Begin to observe what you are and go into those experiences. You will begin to see sometimes we're acting a certain way because in our childhood we were in a moment where there was a certain type of behavior. All of the consciousness technologies present in the society now are ones that are leading to an awareness that you are a multidimensionality, in which in your awareness of your simultaneous aspect of experience, you are the cosmos. And so you see, on some level, the cosmos is within you, as many poets have said. Rumi, a Sufi mystic from 800-900 years ago, he has a quote and he says, "You are the universe in ecstatic motion." Yeah, and I think the full quote is, "Stop acting so small, you are the universe in ecstatic motion." But the whole principle of it is that regardless, the ideology is suggesting that you are present in the movement of this cosmos and also its lack. You are present in ways where manifestation is giving you certain aspects of behavior to agree with and to abide by, and certain aspects of behavior where you can judge and slash and bash. When we find in our communication that sometimes based on seeing the media, when we're in social dynamics, we're like, oh yeah, that guy deserved what he got, yeah, those are criminals, you see. That kind of communication is framing reality in such a solid way. It's as if I am looking at a human being and saying, that guy is such a terrorist. That guy is such a shape I don't like that I'm going to treat him like I don't like him. Do you see? It's a game of your mind if you're not self-aware to the mechanism of your thought process. It is the existential responsibility of the being to cleanse his mind by seeing where he is. No longer those guys with beards are people you don't understand. Just go look at them and go see what they're doing, and their presence is one where it's suggesting it is your self-awareness that gives you the knowing beyond your personality. So if you see that someone asks you, who are you? You will begin to say, you'll look at your personality. You're like, I'm this person, I'm this. This is the kind of person I am. This is the kind of person I am. Do you see how the mentality of the human being has been conditioned? But you begin to see that when the mystic doesn't ask you anything, and you're just looking at that guy, and that guy's just looking at you, then there's complete silence, and it's just presence. You begin to see that, whoa, these waves of ideology I've been holding on to were just like jackets. And when you have too many jackets on, both the system overheats and also you get pretty hot. You don't need that. So begin taking off these jackets, and you begin to see it's as if meditation was simply you becoming such gentler and more existentially sensitive in your experience that you saw the infinity within life. You saw that you were the infinite intention. What that means is I'm not experiencing death yet, so my life feels pretty infinite, And that's why many people have the vitality to do great acts. We are inspired by infinity, but it seems that we're moving in form, in temporal form. So what that means is we are like that candle who is aware of his body of wax and is just noticing that we are emanating and the candle is lit, and that which is lit, the human being's consciousness is of a greater intelligence. What hand could have held this lighter, And so we begin to see that as we are there, we are giving off light. Our expression is a transcendent hue. But we also need to realize that in our ability to be given existence, we are to utilize it and observe it. And from this great gift of shape, this great gift of manifestation, of world being in front of you, working to understand how there is no world. And so the mystic is always the lover of the unknown, because the unknown is constantly expanding his knowing. So some people have idols in which they're trying to be billionaires or something, and some people, their idols are an expanding universe. They look at an expanding universe and they look at the nature of mind and they see definitions where man could put bricks, and some men just, didn't know how to put bricks. They just didn't know how to understand and build structure out of the unknown, and so the unknown was misinterpreted, and in misinterpretation there is the allowance for an illusion to carry on, and we cannot have that. So you must not allow an elusive reality to give your place too much of a shape, which you're like, that's it. I become very aware, those moments where I'm suddenly like, oh God, this is the truth, oh, this is the truth. Those are the moments where I need to be very clear. I need to realize that belief is a subscription, but we want to be more than subscribers. We want to listen in ways where we are initiating our ability. We are initiating how we can be the greatest expression of humanity. Because collective tasks are so much better than individual tasks. You can simply see it. Just go observe people playing that game World of Warcraft. They're constantly getting in groups. There's a part of that game where they get into groups. And they go and they do this group. So it's constantly man in him has this intention to work with other beings with the same state of intelligence. So what that means is some people, when I was very younger, much younger, I would say, oh my God, that person is so cool. Am I that cool? I would have that mentality. But then later on I realized, wait a minute, forget coolness. This person's state of consciousness and being and state of awareness is one where he is beyond judgment. It's as if he is perceiving something more within his being. And as I saw the presence of the being, when I was inspired by the presence of the guru, not the personality of the guru, that's when my presence began to shake up. And for me, it seemed that it wasn't a typical shaking up. For me, it was as if I was my own guru. That in this life there was no other voice, it was just my awareness of the moment that was my free walk. For clarity will always be fruitful in any sense and construct of time and space. Such a message is for all beings that are working with conception and are aware of conception. Because some beings are not working with conception, they are keeping your conception here. And so our intensity of awareness and observance to what our simple actions are, we begin to see chaos in the simple order. We begin to see that flower on the ground, that dandelion on the ground is there, but it is a choice out of its environment. It's as if the color yellow has decided to manifest here, among this field of green. And so you begin to observe how your perception is maintained. You begin observing how your perception is kept, and you forget about age, because age was you boxing up space and time and thinking you knew what to do. Oh man, if you think you know what to do, then you must be a god. Do you see this? Because man is an apprentice that is acknowledging his limitation. And so we cannot go into the limitless without first observing our limitation. Because there was a moment where I was in complete solitude and silence, just at night, standing at a beach, and my feet was in the water, and I was just looking at the pitch darkness. And there was one light in the distance that would keep going on and on. And I was just looking at that, and for a second, when the water came, and the water, it's just like a beach, so it's on the shore, so the water is hitting my foot and then going back. And as it does, I'm seeing it's as if the wave is covering both angles. And suddenly that inspires my mind to see that a pilot has to know both destinations. So in order for you to have a multidimensional experience, you know of your existential position in your greater abstraction, which is your collective knowing. So you are present in your greater intelligence. You are just now building a conscious network to work with life. And you begin to see the same mechanism must go in society and be embedded into social design as well. Our social systems must constantly learn from the human being. All branches of knowledge must constantly learn and observe from the human being. That is the responsibility of knowledge, for all the branches to recognize the roots, which is the human experience. Because there are very great treasures hidden in the soil, and so we must first be aware of the roots to then go deeper into what is hidden beneath the surface of man's vision. And of course, guys, I'm just talking and saying words. I want you to see that this whole thing is more to be a mirror of existence for you. And for you to see that I am bringing ideology, but I am bringing it through a self-awareness that does not need it. And that is important, because we need to learn. We need to have examples of people consciously working with greater ideas. We need more mystics coming into the West and enhancing and incorporating the aspects of existential comfort and bringing those systems of perhaps whether it's a meditative technique or whether it's some aspect of wisdom or whatever, and blending it. Globalization is here to make the human species advance. What that means is you're thinking you're from one culture, our children's children is going to have all the cultures in it, you know? It's like we're going to see that it's very playful, but all the different kinds of restaurants we have, eventually after going to all of them, we'll feel like we're eating in all those countries. And so consciousness must find itself more than the lies of man. Consciously building networks is the task of a communicator that is advanced. You are putting the extra effort to bringing greater systems of self-awareness into conscious view. Much blessings.